What's up, guys? We are back with a brand new NECA Turtles review, and it's not a turtle, and it's a brand new subline for turtles. In particular, we're taking a look at the Mirage Comics Fugitoid. So this is specifically right now, this is the early release or first release version that's hitting targets via the Haulathon thing that they're doing. So this guy comes in kind of a specialized packaging. I mean, I'm guessing this is what we're going to see somewhat throughout the line, so it's definitely different from the norm, very comic inspired. So you've got the Fugitoid there in the window, it wraps around to the side, you've got comic inspired artwork on the front, on the side panels, and then the back of the box gives us a bunch of product shots, also includes one of our older NECA Turtles, and then it's also got some cross-sell for the upcoming other figures that we've already seen and have been teased recently. So yeah, I'm really excited for this guy because, of course, more Turtles is great and new Turtles is even better. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, our NECA Mirage Fugitoid. A figure that's been a long time coming, obviously. This is the new beginnings, the rebirth of the Mirage line, so there's a lot riding on this guy's first impressions, I suppose. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. Now, he is not going to be anything close to normal when it comes to any kind of action figure because, well, look at him. So we've got a head here that can swivel all the way around, and there is some bendiness to his neck, too. Like, crazy tilt. He can look all the way down. You can look up really good. You can swivel up there at the head as well. So you've got a lot of movement there. Arms swivel at the shoulders. They rotate at the top here. So it's sort of like a bicep swivel, sort of. And then you've got, you know, bendy arms. They're not super bendy because they're short. I mean, they're not long, so the bend is going to be restricted by their length. But they work. So you can get his arm all the way up and, you know, it looks like a natural, like, waving posture or something like that. The fingers, the hands, they rotate inside the actual, like, cone of the wrist here. I don't think they're supposed to rotate at right here. They don't want to, and I'm not forcing. I'm going to shear that off. So they will rotate there. You've got your torso, which goes backwards a little bit. He goes forwards a decent bit. Side to side is really good. There's not really any rotation here, though. So he's not going to have any kind of twist because of how he's shaped. Like, he just doesn't really want to go anywhere when it comes to, you know, any kind of swivel or anything like that. We've got our legs that swivel. They go forward and backward. They also swivel at the top, so just like the arms do, they swivel at the top of that connection. And then these will bend also. You know, again, they only have so much bend because of their length and their size, but they work well enough. And then you've got swivel at the top of the foot, top of the boot. So he's pretty basic when it comes to articulation, and I'm not surprised. It's not really a negative. I mean, he is a very weird kind of figure. So you've got to work around the limitations of the bendy nature of his limbs. But some of the articulation is pretty nice. Like, despite the weird shape of his torso, I'm really surprised he's able to do some of this kind of stuff. So they really got that cut in there pretty deep. Otherwise, he is a very unique, very weird figure, but moves, I don't know, probably exactly like the Fugitoid should. Now, as far as the aesthetics go, I am really happy with this guy. There's really not much to complain about, if anything, when it comes to the way he looks, because NECA has translated this design into a figure very, very well. I mean, from the start of having bendy appendages, that's already a big design just increase when it comes to overall likeness and accuracy, I suppose. The ability to do that makes for an oddly articulated figure, but it makes for a great looking figure. So he's kind of weird in that department, but it looks awesome. He's got a really smooth body parts as far as the feet, the hands, like the crotch, and the torso, and then all of the appendages have like this ribbed nature because, you know, he's got all those lines in his legs and arms, and those are all filled with paint. He's got all of this like, it's not cell shaded. It's similar to the Toon line in the approach, but it's a very comic book thing when they've got all of this shading being cast down on the figure. So you've got whites, grays, and blacks, not only to give the illusion of him being in shadow in some ways, but it also gives the illusion that this is like black and white too. So you've got those colors. It's all over, front and back, all over the tubing. Just a ton of detail on what could potentially have been a very detailless figure. So NECA did a really solid job of translating, you know, this really weirdly shaped robot, well, into figure form while also retaining a lot of the mobility of having bendy appendages that also look really good. I mean, there's a ton of detail on that. He's just a weird looking figure, and it's going to work pretty nicely alongside those older Mirage turtles if you have them. He is sized appropriately, so he'll fit in right next to the four of them pretty well, I think. And he just looks like he jumped right out of the comic book. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. If this is an indication of what we're going to be getting from this line, I think we're going to be getting some really solid figures. And then, of course, you know, you've got this head sculpt up here, which does have a little bit more in the detail department because there's a little more to it. You've got like the vents on the side of the head. You've got those big yellow bug eyes. I always loved the Fugitoid expression because he just looks like he's freaking out. He just looks like he's tweaking on something with that weird frown expression with those huge eyes. It always does something for me. So I'm happy to see that was retained in this figure. And he just looks great. He's a wild, weird looking robot dude with a ton of paint on him to mimic that comic style. So we're basically getting exactly what we wanted to get out of this thing. And it's a great looking start to the comic line. Now, as far as some comparisons go, here is our Fugitoid with one of the, original older NECA turtles. So this is Leo from the Mirage line, and then we've got a Toon figure over here, so Shredder, sort of a normal baseline for normal kind of figures. And you can see that he's taller than the turtles, which makes a little bit of sense, that works. And then he's, of course, shorter than Shredder, which also works. Now, as far as some other turtles, let's move Shredder aside, and here is a Toon turtle. So he's still a little bit taller than the Toon turtles, not much by any means. And then here he is with a Super 7 turtle. So there he is with an Ultimates Donatello. Just to give you an idea of what he looks like with this line also. And of course Donnie is a little bit taller because that line skews a little bit on the taller side. And then let's do like a Marvel Legends just for sake of comparison to a standard 112 kind of figure. So you can see that he still comes in shorter than your normal 112 figures for sure because, well, he's not anyway. But I think he's got the right amount of size. He's a pretty small, tight figure, but he's definitely going to size up really well with your other turtle figures just fine. Now, there is, of course, cause to compare other Fugitoids, and I don't really have a lot that are open. So we'll do the vintage one, just for sake of comparison. So here he is with the vintage Fugitoid, which of course is an entirely different thing. He's gold, he's got tons of paint detail, he's got some really wacky accessories as well. There's other Fugitoids, like the 2003 show has a Fugitoid figure that looks really, really similar to that. So I don't have it open or available to do, but here's an idea of what, some of the original Fugitoid stuff looks like together. Now, as far as accessories goes, the Fugitoid has quite a bit. Honestly, there's a lot more here than I had expected. Or maybe I just forgot, who knows. So to start with, we've got extra hands, and I was surprised to see that he had anything because I didn't know how this worked. So they actually just pop out. They're just big pegs. So you have a couple extra sets. So you've got a set of another gripping hands, and honestly, I'm not sure what's too different about these. Like, one seems to be a slightly tighter grip than the other. Some of the guns seem to fit better in other hands. And then we've got this sort of gesturing style pose, splayed finger set of hands, so you get 2 of each. So there's 6 total hands for extra. We get what, if I remember correctly, is like the handcuffs that he gets put on him when he's taken captive. Because like these you pop the hands off and then these will fit like sort of inside there. And then you can have them wrapped around him. So you've got the handcuff sort of thing if you want to, make him someone's prisoner. This is pretty cool too. I mean, the paint on it is really nice and really, really clean and super sort of cell shaded. So I do really like that. And then we get a handful of guns. And, one of the things with the Fugitoid is that you can use some of these guns with the turtles. Well, really, you can use all of them with them. Some hold them better than others because their hands are not always exactly the same. So to start with, we get a couple little pistols. And the Fugitoid's weapons are all blue and black. So unique sculpt here. Good paint, really clean. Kind of clashes with the figure too, so it's not just going to sort of blend into him. We get this big rifle here. Again, more of that same color scheme, but everything's really clean and crisp. Like the sculpt on this. All this stuff is unique too. And then we get his little hand cannon, arm cannon thing, which I really, really like. This is definitely my favorite accessory in the entire pack. Now, the turtles can use this. I'll say right off the bat, I'm having a lot of time getting it on them. So your mileage may vary on that. If you take the hand off, it'll slide on the arm a lot easier, but then getting the hand in there becomes a bit of a challenge. It's easy for Fugitoid. It just goes right on him. So there you go. But I really like this. It just changes him up, makes him look a little bit different. And then lastly, we get another gun, but a different color scheme. And if memory serves, this is a Triceraton gun. So that makes me think that we're going to get some Triceratons in the Mirage style, which excites and worries me. But this, of course, is a very different type of gun from the other stuff. So all of his are blue, and then you've got this one here, which is just gray with a little bit of black accents. But he comes with a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot more in this package than I think you might expect, especially once you get him open, because a lot of it's behind him. But a lot of good stuff. So stuff you can use with him, stuff you can use with the turtles, and then, of course, a surprising amount of interchangeable hands. So yeah, overall, very, very happy with our first foray back into Mirage. The Fugitoid, Honeycutt, whatever you want to call him, is a pretty fun figure to just kind of jump into this with. He's definitely very Mirage. I mean, he's older than the Turtles, so he very much has his roots with the comics, and I'm pretty happy that they went after him first. It's definitely showing that they're going to give us some more of the unique stuff, some of the stuff we haven't gotten in other forms yet, because again, there's not going to be a cartoon version of this one, so we don't have any current Fugitoid stuff. So I'm really happy that they knocked him out sooner rather than later. He looks really good. He moves really weird, but it definitely works for what he is. And then those accessories, I mean, you really can't beat him. There's a ton of stuff in this box that you can use with him, with other figures, and just really cool stuff that maybe hints at another type of figure coming down the road. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Mirage Fugitoid. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.